Respiratory system is the system through which the exchange of gases is carried out in humans and other higher animals. In today's video, I'm going to discuss the complete structure and function of respiratory system in humans. It consists of two parts, the air passageway and the lungs. Let us discuss the air passageway first. The air passageway consists of parts through which the air from outside come in the lungs and after the exchange of gases it goes out. Next we will study the parts of air passageway. The first part of the air passageway is the nasal cavity and the nostrils. Nose encloses the nasal cavity and it is divided into two portions by a wall that opens to the outside through external openings called nostrils. Each portion is lined by fine hair and mucus that filter the dust particles from air and make it warm and moist. Air from nasal cavity enters into the pharynx through internal nostrils. Pharynx is a muscular passage and is common to both food and air. It extends to the opening of esophagus and larynx. There is present a narrow opening at the floor of pharynx called glottis. As the air enters from pharynx into the larynx, the glottis is protected by a flap of tissue called epiglottis. Larynx is a box made up of cartilage. It is also called voice box. It is present between pharynx and trachea, and it is responsible for the production of voice in humans. From larynx, air enters into the trachea, that is also called windpipe. The trachea is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings. These cartilages keep the trachea from collapsing even when there is no air in the trachea. It is present in front of the esophagus and it is about 12 cm long. On entering the thoracic cavity, the trachea is divided into two small tubes which are called bronchi. Each bronchus on its side enter into the lungs and divided into further branches called bronchioles. As they keep dividing and become narrower, they loses their cartilage. Finally, bronchioles end up into fine tubules called alveolar duct. Each alveolar duct opens into cluster of pouches called the alveoli. Each alveolus is a sac-like structure and it's surrounded by a network of capillaries. Deoxygenated blood from the heart enters into the lungs through a vessel called pulmonary artery that branches into arterioles, and these arterioles further branch into capillaries that surround the alveoli. They join together to form venules, and these venules join to form pulmonary veins which carries oxygenated blood from lungs back into the heart. Here the exchange of gases takes place inside the capillaries of alveolus. All the alveoli on one side constitute a lung. A pair of lung is present in the thoracic cavity. It is made up of 12 pair of ribs and intercostal muscles. Right lung is bigger and has 3 lobes, while the left lung is slightly smaller and it has 2 lobes. The lungs are spongy and elastic organs. Each lung is surrounded by pleural membrane, which is made up of external and internal pleural membranes. These membranes contain fluid inside that provide lubrication during the free expanding and contracting of lungs. A thick muscular structure is present below the lungs that is called diaphragm. This dome-shaped structure separates the thoracic cavity from abdomen and plays an important role during breathing. By contracting and relaxing at the time of inhalation and exhalation. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and flattens. It reduces the pressure on thoracic cavity, the lung relaxes and air rushes inside the lungs. While during exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes. It increases the pressure on thoracic cavity, the lungs contract and air goes outside. Now, what is exhalation and inhalation? The movement of air outside the body is called exhalation or expiration. When air moves inside our body, the process is called inhalation or inspiration. At the end, let us see the complete pathway of the air passageway. Air from nose enters into the nasal cavity, and from nasal cavity through internal nostrils it enters into the pharynx. From pharynx it enters into the larynx, and from larynx it enters into the trachea and then goes inside the both lungs through bronchi and then into bronchioles. It enters into the alveolar duct and finally into the alveoli, where the exchange of gases takes place inside the capillaries of alveoli.